We begin this morning with Dr. Amy Hagerman, our OSU Extension Ag Policy Specialist, talking about the Farm Bill. This day has finally arrived, Amy.
Yeah, it's been 3 years in the making that we've been working towards this Farm Bill, and there was actually a lot of negotiation that happened kind of at the last minute to actually bring this Farm Bill across the finish line in the House. A couple of things were some questions there towards the end. The first was the inclusion of some pesticide labeling rules. Those were actually pulled out of it. Second was the inclusion of year-round E15 ethanol inclusion. This is in response to higher gas prices at the pumps right now. That has actually been set aside until May. And then there was also some conversation around some rules about states' ability to limit production practices in other states. That actually stayed in the bill. But at the end of the day, this bill did pass the finish line in the House, and now it can move forward to the Senate.
This is the skinny farm bill that you've been talking about for a while. Talk about how that fits with other legislation that we've also talked about for the past, what seems like a year.
Yes, well, it has been almost a year. So last July, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed, which actually contained the majority of the program changes and the majority of the funding associated with the Farm Bill, which led us to this term of skinny farm bill. It's a smaller amount of funding, but these are still pretty critical programs and continuing programs through 2031 in the same way the changes last summer extended programs through 2031.
In terms of the things you're keeping track of right now, what are some takeaways for Oklahoma producers?
There are a couple of things I'm watching closely. The first is in the credit title. So there's actually some expansion in terms of the limits on the top levels of loans. But one of the biggest things I'm watching is actually microloans. We have larger numbers of smaller producers just getting started in agriculture, and these provide opportunities for those initial investments for those producers. The other things I'm watching are associated with our disaster programs here in the state. Programs like the Tree Assistance Program for our pecan producers, and also the Emergency Conservation Program for producers that have had fence lines or buildings lost associated with wildfires or tornadoes. These changes actually allow some of that money to come to the producer up front as a part of this cost share program, where in the past they've had to wait until all the work was done and submit receipts for the cost share.
Crop insurance, of course, is a big program. Any changes there?
So yes, there were actually some changes in addition to what passed last summer. It extended the benefits for veteran producers to go out to 10 years. This is great because it now matches the benefit levels for new and beginning producers as well.
So it's made it through the House. Time now for the Senate. What can we expect?
So there are really two different paths the Senate could take. The first is to actually pick up the House bill and vote on it as it stands. The second is the more traditional pathway, which means the Senate Ag Committee would actually build their own version of the Farm Bill, pass it through the Ag Committee, pass it on the Senate floor, and then reconcile the two bills. This has been a more traditional path, but given that we're kind of coming into the end of the year, they might choose to just vote on the House bill as it stands.
This all just happened. It's very new, but do you have any timeline yet on what the path will be for the Senate?
So we don't yet. I'll be watching very closely to see when it would make it on the schedule.
All right, Amy, keep us up to date, and we'll see you again very soon on SUNUP. Thank you.